Welcome back to We Lead Anyway. I'm Noelle, Senior Leader, Career Coach, and host of the weekly podcast, We Lead Anyway. Dear internal candidates, y'all are freaking killing me. If you are an internal candidate interviewing for a new role at your company, I need you to hear me clearly. And I don't want this to sound harsh, but you're not a shoo-in. Not because you're not good, and not because your leaders don't value you, but because internal interviews are still interviews. And sometimes they're harder than the external ones. Let me tell you what leaders are actually thinking when you apply internally. We already know you. That is both your advantage and your risk. We've seen how you show up on the good days and the bad days. We have context, we have history. And that means you don't get to rely on familiarity and vibes. You still have to show range. Here's where internal candidates start losing us. They walk into the interview like it is a continuation of their performance review. They assume proximity equals preparedness. They speak casually, they skip structure, they answer questions like, well, you already know me. And that's exactly the problem. When you say, well, you already know me, what we hear is, "Well, I did not prepare." Internal interviews are not about confirming your current role. They're about evaluating your readiness for the next one. That means we're listening for how you think at the next level, not how well you execute at the current one. We're not just asking, can you do more work? We're asking, can you do different work? Another common miss, internal candidates undersell themselves. They think humility will carry them. They say things like, well, I've kind of done this already, or I helped out here and there, or, well, you've probably already seen me do this. Yeah, stop that. We're not here to infer your impact. We're here to hear you articulate it. External external candidates tell us a story. Internal candidates assume we remember the plot. We don't. Your job in that interview is to connect the dots between what you've done and what the role entails. Explicitly, clearly, strategically. And if you can't narrate your own growth, you're asking the panel to do it for you, and they shouldn't have to. That's not their job. Let me talk to you about another big mistake. Internal candidates forget to interview the role they're applying for. They focus so much on proving loyalty that they forget to demonstrate curiosity. Leaders want to see that you're thinking critically about the role, that you're thinking about the gaps and the challenges, and what direction you would take it. Blind enthusiasm is not leadership potential, but thoughtful questions, strategic questions, they are. And please hear this part with love. Just because you're great at your current job doesn't mean you're the best candidate for the next one. Different roles require different skills, and we're not demoting you by not selecting you. We're making a bet on fit and usually timing. And sometimes the most responsible leadership decision is to say, just not yet. Here's what separates strong internal candidates from frustrated ones. Strong candidates treat the interview like a first impression, not a favor or a formality. They prepare examples. They align their experience to the role. They talk about failures and how they learned from them. Then they demonstrate coachability and they respect the process. Because yes, there is a process and it's not created to block you. It was created to ensure fairness. Internal favoritism erodes trust faster than almost anyone else. Leaders know that, and everyone can see favoritism, which means sometimes internal candidates are evaluated even more carefully than external ones. If you walk into an internal interview expecting grace instead of rigor, you'll leave disappointed. Now, I've shared with you that I've been a hiring manager for a little over 15 years. and I have seen some things. So I just want to share with you a couple of things I've seen during internal interviews. I have seen people lying in bed for the interview. Why? Someone came with a spaghetti strap tank top. Not my first choice, but I let it go. Upon further investigation, I noticed a F word right in the middle of the shirt. Nice touch. I've seen a 2-year-old on someone's lap. I've seen a 12-year-old on someone's lap. I've seen people vaping. I've had people come to the interview who had no idea what the job entailed. I've had people come to the interview knowing exactly what the job entailed and didn't want to be in that role and told me in the second sentence. Why? Why, dear boy, are you interviewing? I've seen someone eating lunch. But last and certainly not least, I've seen someone drinking clearly an alcoholic beverage during the interview. Why? Well, because interviews make them nervous, duh. Listen, being internal gets you access. It's not necessarily your sole advantage. You still have to earn the role. And that's not an insult to you as an internal candidate, as a valued member of the team. It's respect for you and for the work. So here's a little tip. If you're applying internally, prepare like you don't work there. Study the role, map your experience to the requirements, practice your answers, ask real questions, and show us that you're not just ready for more responsibility, but for more complexity. And if you don't get the role, don't spiral. Don't spiral. We can tell a lot about a person by how they react after not being selected. Ask for feedback, actionable feedback. Use it as data. Don't think of it as a slight. Internal mobility is within reach. It's a long game sometimes. Listen, that's today's episode. If you are an internal candidate, consider this your tough love moment. We are rooting for you, but you just have to meet us halfway without the Jack and Coke. If you have a question or a topic that you would like for me to discuss, please email me at noelleadsanyway@gmail.com. If you have an upcoming interview and you'd like some help with prep, visit leadwithnoelle.com. Until next time, go take up space.